Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Reset. Back, when I think it was probably in the first 4 or 5 years of my marriage with Carrie, her boss gifted us with an amazing vacation. He owned a condo in the Telluride, Colorado area, which is down by the Four Corners. Absolutely stunning scenery. An amazing condo that we stayed in. We had our 2 young boys at the time. It was really, truly just a vacation from heaven. Gave it to us for free. We had our own food. You know, back then we didn't really have a lot of discretionary funds, and we were on a really tight budget. But this vacation was amazing. There was a fishing stream that I went and I caught just some of the biggest and some of the most beautiful trout that I ever did before. There was a nice place in town there that had all these touristy type attractions. We had a ball. So it was just wonderful to be blessed with something like that, and it's one thing that we'll always remember for our entire life. Now, fast forward a couple of years, I want to share with you an experience that we had. Now, me especially, but my whole family, we love the outdoors. We have always loved the camping, the fishing, the walks, the scenery, the beautiful fall colors. So one June, this was after my wife had no longer worked for this boss, she told me, I want a rustic outdoor experience. And I thought, hey, you know what? That sounds great. That sounds wonderful. Let's go back to the Telluride area, we decided on, and we're going to rough it. We're going to go camping, and when I say camping, not in a condo, in a makeshift tent. We're going to cook our food. We're going to live off the land for a few days. So we drove into the national forest that first week of June. The snow was just starting to melt off the mountains. It was a beautiful spring day, and we set up camp. We set up tent. So the first thing that we had decided to do. Now you have to remember that we're thinking, you know, Telluride, this beautiful, wonderful vacation experience that we had a few years back. And this was going to be just as magnificent. Well, let me tell you the rest of the story. So, like I said, we had set up camp and started. The first thing I wanted to do was go down to that fishing hole that these just amazing trout were biting all the time. So I got down to the area, drove down from our camp, and there was a big sign there. It said, "This area is closed to public." Well, come to find out, there was a bunch of campers that had gone in there, and basically they were living there, and they had just destroyed the whole habitat so much that the state came in and they closed it down. So, you know what? No big deal. We can live with that. So we went back to the camp, and there's a little stream there, a beautiful babbling brook. And we went fishing there, and we just caught these horrible little tiny fish, and nothing else seemed to be biting. I kept a few of them just so we could cook it on the campfire, but it was really starting to get kind of disappointing. So we had a cooler of food too, and it started to get dark, and so we decided, hey, let's bed down for the night and have a wonderful sleep. And we, my boys, I told the boys, now you need to keep the cooler outside down, you know, by the car in case any bears come around, because we were warned, hey, you know, bears are coming out of hibernation. You need to be careful. Don't put your food in your tent. Well, my boys decided they were going to get a couple of treats, and my oldest boy didn't want to have to go all the way over there, so he drug the cooler into the big tent that we had and put it in there, and I didn't realize that he had done that. So as we were sleeping, the first thing that comes up is this big, huge windstorm, and we thought the tent was gonna blow down. But finally that went through, and we were starting to get really weary of the day. And so we were tired. Well, a few hours later, as darkness fell, I get this nudge on my arm as we're laying on our air mattress and our sleeping bags, and it's my wife. And she's like, Dave. I'm like, what? What's wrong? What's wrong? There's something outside the tent. And, being the husband, I'm like, I listen, I didn't hear anything. I said, I don't hear anything. It's probably just the wind. So I laid down, and now I'm awake as well as she is. She goes, no, I don't think it was the wind. That did not sound like the wind. And I said, okay, and I'm listening. I don't hear anything. So a few minutes later, I hear this, and these really, really heavy footsteps. So it's pitch dark. I can't find the flashlight. We have this little flap that you can flap up and look out. So I finally find the flashlight, and I'm looking out, and I don't see anything. So I'm laying there, and at this point I'm concerned, and my wife is absolutely terrified. And she's like, let's leave, let's go. This has been a disaster. Let's get out of here. I said, Carrie, we can't do that. We have the car up on a bluff. It's pitch dark. It's dangerous. We really shouldn't go out there. We need to wait this out. She's like, okay. So about 10 minutes later, I'm starting to fall asleep again, and she nudges me on the arm, Dave, and she's being even more quiet. And I'm like, what is wrong? And I look over, and my wife is leaning against the wall of the tent, and her shoulder is going like this. And I stop, and I look, and I'm starting to become a little terrified myself. And I look over, and the next time it comes up very slowly, and you can see the tent being pushed in with the pattern of a very big bear's head. And you can hear him breathing very heavily. We had a bear outside our tent. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what am I supposed to do here? Being the Iowa boy that I am, and of course dealing with bears all the time, not. I said, well, at least the food's not in the tent, in which I moved over, and I see the cooler laying there. So this went on for about, it seemed like an eternity, but maybe 15, 20 minutes. And by the grace of God, the bear had left. Now, as soon, I told my wife, I said, we can't leave now. We have to at least wait till daybreak. I fell back asleep. Then the next nudge that I get on my shoulder is day breaking, and my wife said, okay, fine, let's go. We get out, and we see the big, huge, heavy tracks of the bear, and luckily that bear was just coming out of hibernation, and it didn't come into the tent. It was probably, the ranger had told us when we went back into town the next day, it was probably a little disoriented. So this vacation that we had planned, really, the first night, we were going to stay there 3 nights. Of course, we only made it to 1, and we decided to pack up and go to a friend's house down in Denver. And as you can imagine, our expectations were quite snuffed. And to make matters even worse, I don't know if it was the fish that we ate or something like that. We got sick as well with this terrible stomach cramp type flu that on the way to Denver from Telluride. It was a very disheartening moment, and it was something that we look back on and are like, boy, what a disaster. And in the scheme of things, now of course you don't want to take the incident with the bear lightly. That was pretty serious, and to this day my wife still will not camp in a tent. That pretty much did it for her. But in the scheme of things, it's really a minor disappointment. We went back to our lives. We were safe. We had our jobs, but boy, we built this up. We saved our money all winter, and we were like, oh, we can't wait till June comes so we can drive out to Colorado and experience this great, wonderful outdoor. Well, of course, it didn't pan out that way. But as I said, we went back to our everyday lives, and it became a thing of the past. That's something we look back on and we laugh about now. But what about when life comes and changes our expectations, or things get interrupted? A lot of times people say that God changes our plans. I think a lot of times that's not true. I think what he does is he interrupts our plans, because sometimes we think that we pray and we think that our ideas and our expectations and the things that we set forward are our plans, and they're God's plans as well. But maybe that's not what God had intended us to go through at all. We have these expectations of what we're going to do, but the phone rings and interrupts our plans. Could be bad news, or could be a doctor's call that our health is challenged. Could be that our jobs are in jeopardy. A lot more serious things than a vacation. And we look back, and one of the things that I hear a lot in sermons is, and it's preached a lot, and it's a very popular verse in the Bible, and it's Romans 8:28. And basically it says, I'm paraphrasing here, that all things work for good for those that love and put their trust in God. And I think that is probably one of the most misinterpreted scriptures that there are. At least I hear it used wrongly so much. A lot of people think that it says all things are good if you trust in the Lord. And of course, all we have to do is look around today, especially the things that we've got going on in the Middle East, or maybe in our own lives, or in our own church, or whatever, in our jobs, in our family, and we know that all things are not good. And we do our best to trust God that he's taking care of us and he's looking over us. But what the verse, once again, really says, it says that all things can work for good. It doesn't say that all things are good. And once again, a lot of times we tend to take these plans that we feel are what God wants us to do, or where he's leading us, and that's not really his intention at all. So I think it's very important to understand, first of all, what do we do? What is our reaction when it seems like our plans are interrupted? Well, we need to hold Romans very closely, that all things can work for good. Because we need to, first of all, trust God. And, trust is something, if you look in your own lives of, you having to trust someone else. If somebody does you wrong, they have to win that trust back. Well, to really trust God is to believe that no matter what happens, he's going to take care of us. He's going to get us through. And we sometimes have to examine ourselves and make sure that we really are trusting God. And he can turn our things into joy that have gotten us down. And the other thing is to rely on, once again, other people. Fellowship is something that, I've said it many times, has been challenged from COVID. And we've had a new culture and a new thought that we can all do this on our own, when the opposite is actually, true. We need each other. We need each other for counsel, accountability, and to make that understanding that things are working out. But first of all, we have to trust and put our belief that there is something bigger than ourselves that is going to get us through it. So, in that great outdoors, let's take time not only to pray, not only to reflect, but to really examine, do we trust that God is going to get us through? Do we trust that sometimes we need to understand that where God is leading us is more important than where we try to lead ourselves? So that's my challenge to you this week, is to examine your relationship with God. Do you really trust Him? Do you really look for His counsel and His guidance when we need to make decisions that are far more important than vacation, but decisions that can be life-changing and life-affecting? So I hope you've been enjoying these past few weeks of Reset. As you probably, if you're joining us from Facebook, I hope that you got the message that we are now just fully on YouTube only, and for various reasons, but we've moved from Facebook and YouTube both to just YouTube, and you can also find us on the website. So have a great week, and put your trust in God, and He will work all things out for your good, for our good. Have a great week. In Jesus' name, be blessed.
God is in the morning, God is in the night, God is in the shadows, and He's in the light. I can call on Him each instant, He's always by my side. I just say, my Lord, I wanna talk to you. Driving down this long road, I come to the end. Do I try to push on further, or turn back again? Do I try to dig in deeper, or try to trudge on through? It's days like these I need to talk to you. Moment to moment, year after year, He hears every whisper, sees every tear, and there's nothing that I really need or wanna do but to sit right here, my Lord, and talk to you. God is in the storm that can ravage your soul. He can wrap His arms around you and shelter the cold, lighting a fire on the shore to see you through. It's days like these we need to talk to you. Moment to moment, year after year, He hears every whisper, sees every tear, and there's nothing that I really need or wanna do but to sit right here, my Lord. God is in the backyard, God is in the car, He's in my music, He's in my heart. I don't need to take a number, so before each day is through, I can say, my Lord, I wanna talk to you. Moment to moment and year after year, He hears every whisper, sees every tear, and there's nothing that I really need or wanna do but to sit right here, my Lord, just talk to.